I'm his classmate by day, but his servant by night. Ew. I should have known my life had hit rock bottom when I found myself wrestling with a pair of boxer briefs that had somehow gotten stuck inside a fitted sheet. Come on, I hissed, yanking at the fabric. The brief snapped free with a dramatic flop, launching straight onto my face. I nearly died right then and there. Sputtering, I threw them off like they were cursed, only to hear a slow clap from the doorway. Wow, a voice drawled. I didn't realize this job came with live entertainment. I froze. My soul left my body. Because standing there, in all his freshly showered, infuriatingly gorgeous glory, was Ace Kensington, a towel slung low on his hips, hair damp, smirking like he owned the world. And I was standing in the middle of his disaster zone of a bedroom, holding his underwear like some kind of pervert. Kill me. Just kill me now. Ace raised an eyebrow. You good there, Maid boy? Maid boy. Oh, that was great. Just fantastic. I cleared my throat, tossing the briefs back into the laundry basket with as much dignity as I could muster. Your room is a health hazard. Uh-huh. He strolled past me, completely unfazed, stepping right over a crumpled hoodie and a half-empty bag of chips on the floor. He flopped onto his bed like a lazy cat, scrolling through his phone. Towels are on the floor. Uniforms somewhere under the bed. Make sure it's ready before morning. No please, no thank you, just pure, undiluted rich boy entitlement. I exhaled sharply through my nose, crouching down to reach under the bed. My fingers brushed against something soft, something fabric. A sock that crunched. I yanked my hand back so fast and nearly smacked my head on the bed frame. Oh my God. Ace glanced up. Problem? I pointed an accusing finger. What the hell is under there? He shrugged. Dunno. Lost some stuff a while back. Probably just clothes. Your clothes should not crunch. Ace grinned, resting his chin on his palm. You're fun. I think I'll keep you. Oh, I was going to suffer. When I took this job, I thought I'd just be scrubbing floors and folding towels for some rich family. Not him. Not Ace Kensington, my ridiculously perfect, untouchable classmate. My crush. The guy who didn't even know I existed at school. But now I was literally picking up his crunchy socks. And the worst part? This was only day one. But I needed this. My family was struggling, and the bills weren't going to pay themselves. My mom worked double shifts just to keep the lights on, and my dad, well, he wasn't exactly in the picture. I couldn't let my mom carry the weight of everything on her own. Getting into this elite school on a scholarship was the only way out, but no one knew the real reason I was here. I was supposed to be just another quiet kid, blending in with the background, not standing out. But now I was stuck in Ace Kensington's messy room, doing his laundry like some kind of joke. And if anyone found out I was just a scholarship kid, working as a maid to send money home, well, I'd never survive high school. The next day. I knew today was going to be a disaster when I saw Ace standing in the hallway with his usual entourage, all perfectly in sync with his effortless cool. He didn't even look at me. It was like I wasn't even there. Again. Hey, Leo. I glanced over to see my friend, Nick, giving me a sympathetic look as I trudged past Ace and his group. I nodded, trying not to let the sting of being invisible get to me. Hey, man. I waved half-heartedly, already feeling like a background extra in some teen drama. Meanwhile, Ace was laughing at something, his voice a little too loud, too carefree. Not once did he acknowledge my presence. His friends gave me nothing but a quick glance and then returned to whatever was so important about the joke Ace had just cracked. I could have sworn I saw him glance at me for a second, but the moment passed and I quickly looked away. It was the usual. Ace, in his own world, the untouchable golden boy, and me, just the kid who would never stand out to someone like him. I sighed, already bracing for the second half of my day where I'd be his maid. At least there he noticed me. Sort of. Later that day. I'd only been at Ace's house for a few hours, but somehow I already wanted to quit. His place was massive, like a mansion, and the second I stepped in, I felt like a bug in a terrarium. "Don't touch that," Ace called out from the living room as I was about to move a plate off the coffee table. I froze. "Why?" I asked, already hating how nervous I sounded. "Just don't. I like the vibe." He didn't look at me, just gave me a lazy wave from the couch where he was sprawled out. I sighed, setting the plate back down like it was some kind of sacred object. I was already cleaning the place as if it were my actual job, and I was only a few hours in. "Got any more weird rules for me?" I muttered under my breath. "You want to know the real one?" He glanced up at me then, his smirk dangerous. "You have to listen to me. All the time." "What does that even mean?" I huffed, crossing my arms. Ace raised an eyebrow. "It means you clean my room now." "I don't want to do it. You can figure out what's under my bed, too. I won't stop you." I stood there, dumbfounded for a second, before I just gave in and started walking toward his bedroom. No way I was going to let him get away with making me look like I had no idea what I was doing. I started sorting through his things, my hands shaking a little. The laundry basket was full of clothes, mostly his, and some that really shouldn't have been there. But I didn't say anything. If I had, I was sure he'd just make fun of me. And then, from behind me, "Hey, Maid boy, make sure the towels are folded properly. I don't want them all wrinkled." 3 days later. By the third night, things were already feeling more complicated. Ace had started to act different, more teasing. "Leo, you missed a spot on the floor." I straightened up from scrubbing his bathroom tiles, feeling a muscle in my neck twitch. "No, I didn't." "Oh, yes, you did," Ace said, as if he was the supreme ruler of cleanliness, lounging on the couch, watching me struggle. His golden brown hair was wet from his shower, and I couldn't help but notice the way he stretched his arms above his head, flexing. He was practically taunting me. "Just, you're impossible," I muttered under my breath. "Impossible?" Ace's voice came from behind me. I turned to see him standing at the doorframe, smirking as if he knew exactly what I was thinking. "Well, I guess you're gonna have to try harder next time." I rolled my eyes, but somehow I knew I'd be stuck cleaning for another hour. His place was way too big to do in one go, and I could tell he was having too much fun watching me. "I'm not your servant, you know," I grumbled. "Oh, but you are," he said, voice dripping with mock sweetness. "And you'll do everything I say." He crossed the room, stopping right behind me. "You see, I'm in charge here. You're just the maid." I felt the heat rise to my cheeks. I wasn't sure if it was anger or something else entirely. Maybe it was both. "I'm not doing your laundry again," I snapped. Ace chuckled, his hand brushing against mine as he grabbed his towel from the pile. "You'll do whatever I tell you to, Leo. Don't forget who's paying you." I looked up at him, caught somewhere between wanting to throw something at him and wanting to scream. But then I noticed how his eyes lingered on me, more like noticing me for the first time. The way he smirked at me now wasn't just arrogant. It was like he was enjoying the power he had over me. "You better hurry up and finish that," Ace said softly, his voice changing tone. "We've got some unfinished business to take care of later." And just like that, my heart was doing somersaults. What was happening between us? Was he actually interested? The line between servant and something else was starting to blur, and honestly, I had no idea where this was going, but it felt like I was in deep. A few days later. It was late. I was wiping down the kitchen counter, my mind half on the chore and half on the weird tension that had been building between Ace and me. He'd been acting different lately, more quiet than usual, like he was carrying something heavy around. He hadn't been his usual bratty self. No orders to clean this or fold that. Instead, he had just been wandering around the house kind of aimlessly, like something was off, and I didn't know how to ask. I was finishing up in the kitchen when I heard something, a muffled sound from the hallway. It wasn't the usual noises of him pacing around. No, this was different. It sounded like crying? I froze. My stomach churned. Was he... I turned down the hallway, moving as quietly as I could, my heart thumping in my chest, and then I saw it. Ace, sitting on the edge of the couch, his back to me. His shoulders were hunched, and he was wiping his eyes. I blinked. Was I hallucinating? I took another step forward, and the floorboard creaked under my foot. Leo? Ace's voice was hoarse, like he hadn't expected anyone to see him like this. He quickly wiped his face with the back of his hand, but the damage was done. His usual tough, untouchable act was gone. I didn't know what to say. What was I even supposed to do? Are you... I stopped myself, unsure. Are you okay? He sniffed and turned to face me. His eyes were red and his jaw was tight, like he was forcing the tears away. Just tired. It was such a weak excuse, and for the first time since I met him, I saw something real. He wasn't the perfect, confident guy I'd always watched from a distance. He was... human. You don't have to hide it, you know, I said quietly, not sure if I was even allowed to be this close to him, this real. Ace's eyes flicked over to me for a moment, and I could swear I saw something vulnerable in his gaze. But then it was gone, replaced by that familiar mask. Forget it. He wiped his eyes one last time and stood up, brushing past me like nothing had happened. I don't need anyone's pity. I stood there for a second, trying to figure out if what I'd just seen was a one-time thing, or if Ace was truly different underneath all the facade. The next day. The next night, everything felt different. Ace hadn't said much since that moment. He'd been distant, but it wasn't the usual, I'm too cool for you distance. It was something else. I was cleaning his room again, this time trying to avoid anything that might crunch under my fingers, when I noticed something strange on his desk. A notebook. I didn't want to snoop, but I couldn't help myself. I pulled it open, and inside were pages filled with what looked like poetry? No, it was something deeper. Random notes about his family, about pressure, expectations, how he hated pretending to be happy. I heard the door creak open behind me, and I quickly slammed the notebook shut, my heart racing. Ace stood there, looking exhausted, his hair messy like he'd been running his hands through it all day. His gaze flicked to the notebook in my hands, and I froze. You shouldn't be reading that, he muttered, walking into the room, his voice quieter than usual. He seemed smaller, deflated, not the Ace I knew. I didn't know what to say, but I could tell there was something he needed, something he wasn't saying, something he was trying to hide. You never talk about it, I said slowly, turning to face him. The stuff in here, all the pressure, it's like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Why don't you just talk to someone about it? Ace swallowed, his gaze shifting away from me. There's no one who'd understand. I'm fine, all right? But his voice cracked on the last word, and I could hear it. He wasn't fine. He never was. I stepped a little closer, feeling that sudden urge to reach out, to break through that wall he'd built around himself. You don't have to pretend with me. You're not alone in this. For the first time, Ace actually looked at me, really looked at me, like he was seeing me for the first time, not just his maid, not just some guy who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know how to let people in, he admitted quietly, his voice almost a whisper. I don't know how to not be perfect. And just like that, I understood. The guy I'd admired from afar wasn't perfect at all. He was just trying to survive. just like me. I didn't know what to say after that. I just stayed with him. And for the first time, it didn't feel like I was the one who was invisible. A few days later. It had been a few days since everything had changed between me and Ace. He was still the same guy at school, untouchable, surrounded by his friends, living in his own world. But there was something different in the way he looked at me now. It wasn't the usual indifference. I was walking through the hallway between classes when I caught him staring at me across the crowd. It wasn't a passing glance, it was lingering. I thought I imagined it, so I quickly turned away, but I could feel his eyes following me. My stomach did a weird flip. I was trying to act normal, like this wasn't some huge deal, but my heart was racing. I kept my head down, pretending like nothing was out of the ordinary, but when I glanced back at him, his gaze was still on me, and this time, he didn't even look away. It was like we were in some weird secret world that no one else knew about. I quickly ducked into the nearest classroom, my face burning, feeling like I was living some weird daydream. The next day. Things got weirder. I was sitting at my usual spot in the cafeteria, trying to just blend into the background, when I felt it again, that stare. I looked up and there he was, Ace, standing by his table, talking to his friends, but his eyes? They were on me. For a few moments, he just watched me, and I felt this pressure building in my chest. I tried not to look back at him. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of thinking he was affecting me, but I couldn't help it. When I finally dared to glance over, he was still watching me, and then he smiled. I almost choked on my lunch. I didn't get it. Why was he suddenly acting like this? Was this some kind of sick joke? Or maybe he was just messing with me, toying with me like he always did when I was his maid. But then, as I gathered my things to leave, Ace actually got up and walked toward me. He didn't say anything at first, just leaned against the table, his face soft and serious. "What's up?" he asked, like we were just two regular people. I blinked. Not much, just, trying to eat lunch." He chuckled, that usual cocky grin spreading across his face. "You don't seem very social. I thought we could have a chat." I didn't know what to say. Was he actually talking to me? I felt the weight of his stare again, but this time it wasn't just curiosity or boredom. It felt personal, like he was interested in more than just me as the guy who cleaned his room. I could feel my heart doing that annoying dance in my chest again. 3 days later. By the time the weekend rolled around, I was at Ace's house again, drowning in endless chores. But there was something different in the air tonight, something electric. I was cleaning his living room when Ace came downstairs, looking off. His eyes flicked to the door as I folded the blankets on the couch. I turned to him, wondering what was on his mind. "Hey," he said, but it wasn't his usual cocky tone. There was something more sharp about his voice. I nodded. "What's up?" "Aren't you supposed to be going out with that guy tonight?" He looked at me, narrowing his eyes. It was a little too casual, but I caught the undercurrent of irritation in his voice. My stomach dropped. "What guy?" That guy from school." He pressed his jaw tight. "The one who's always hanging around you." My mind raced. I had no idea what he was talking about. Sure, a few people from school had tried to talk to me, Nick mostly, but nothing serious. I wasn't even close to anyone. But why did Ace care? "I don't know what you're talking about," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "There's no one." "Right," he muttered, crossing his arms and glaring at the floor like he didn't believe me. Something clicked then. Was he jealous? "I'm just saying," Ace continued, his voice quieter. "I'm not your babysitter, Leo, but if you want someone to, keep you company..." It was so obvious now. He was jealous. Ace Kensington, the untouchable golden boy, was jealous of someone like me. I shook my head, trying not to let it get to me. You really don't have to worry about that. I'm fine. Ace's gaze softened for a moment before his lips twisted into a smirk. Right. You're always fine, Leo. I didn't know what it was, but something about the way he said my name sent a shiver down my spine. I couldn't tell if it was just the weight of his jealousy or something deeper. But one thing was certain. This whole thing? It was getting way too complicated. A few days later. It was a typical Thursday morning. I was trying to get through the school day without attracting too much attention. I'd grown used to blending in, but that morning, things felt off. I was walking through the hallway when I bumped into Nick and his girlfriend, the biggest gossipers, one of the few people who'd ever actually tried to talk to me. Nick had that look on his face, the one that told me he was about to say something I wasn't going to like. You work as a maid, huh? He said casually, but the smirk on his face told me he already knew everything. My heart stopped. What are you talking about? I tried to play it cool, but my voice cracked. He shrugged like it was no big deal. I saw you at Kensington's place last night. The guys at the party were talking. Guess someone's got a little side hustle. I froze. My mind was racing. How the hell did he see me? Nick leaned closer, his voice lowering. Don't worry, Leo. I'm not going to say anything. Unless you want me to. My blood ran cold. This was it. The moment I'd been terrified of. If the school found out, I was done. My reputation would be trashed. Ace's family would fire me and I'd have nothing left. I forced a smile. You can't say anything, Nick, because you have no proof. And walked away. But my heart was hammering. This was way too close. 2 days later. By the end of the week, the tension between Ace and me had skyrocketed. I couldn't let him know what had happened. If he found out I'd been discovered, or if anyone knew I was working for him, everything would go up in flames. So I started pulling away, not answering texts, keeping my distance when I was at his house. It was easier to just pretend like nothing had changed, like I wasn't slowly breaking inside every time he looked at me with those eyes. But Ace didn't make it easy. He'd started noticing. I could feel it. Every time we passed each other in the halls, he'd give me that look. Not the same cocky, teasing one, but something else. Confusion, frustration. He'd even start to talk to me in class, as if nothing was wrong. But I couldn't bring myself to answer him, not with the weight of everything hanging over me. The more I pulled back, the more he pushed, and it was driving me crazy. 3 days later. It happened in English class. I was sitting there, trying to ignore the fact that Ace kept glancing over at me, waiting for me to say something, anything. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. Finally, he snapped. In the middle of a quiet class, his voice cut through the air like a whip. Leo, what's your deal? You've been avoiding me all week. What the hell is going on? The whole class went silent. Everyone turned to look at us. I could feel my face turning red. I tried to brush it off, acting like it was no big deal. Nothing, Ace. Just busy. He didn't buy it. His eyes narrowed and he leaned forward, his voice low but intense. This isn't like you. You've been weird lately, and I want to know why. My throat tightened. I couldn't tell him. Not here, not now. Seriously, Leo, what the hell is going on? He pushed. His gaze locked on me like he was trying to figure me out. I looked down, unable to hold his gaze. Nothing, Ace. Just forget it, okay? But he didn't. He just stared at me, clearly frustrated. And that was the last straw for me. I needed space. I needed to get out. A few days later. The next few days were the worst. Ace started acting out, picking fights with anyone who even looked at me. He got reckless, breaking things in class, picking on people who usually didn't bother him. He was acting out hard. It was like he was lashing out at me for not letting him in. How could I let him in when everything I was doing with him was so dangerous? One afternoon, after school, I was walking to my locker when Ace appeared out of nowhere, slamming his hand against the locker beside me, trapping me. "You're pushing me away," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Why? What's going on with you, Leo? What's changed?" I swallowed hard, trying to avoid looking him in the eye. Nothing, just stuff. But he wasn't buying it. Stuff. That's it. You're full of shit and you know it. You're not even talking to me anymore. What the hell did I do? I looked up at him, my heart pounding in my chest. This was too much. I was cracking under the pressure. "Just leave me alone, Ace," I snapped, pushing past him, but my voice broke. "You wouldn't understand." For a moment, I saw something flash across his face. Hurt, maybe. But he didn't say anything as I walked away. Later that night, I couldn't run anymore. The tension had been building for too long, and I knew it. I'd been pushing Ace away, and I couldn't keep doing it, but I also couldn't let him know the truth. That night, I was at Ace's house again, sitting on the couch, pretending to fold laundry, when I heard the door slam. My heart skipped, and I turned just as Ace stormed into the room, his eyes burning with frustration. "Leo," he growled, his voice tight. "Why are you doing this? Why are you acting like this?" I froze. I couldn't face him. I took a step back, trying to put distance between us, but I couldn't run this time. "You don't get it, Ace," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Someone found out. Someone at school. If the truth comes out, my reputation, my job, everything will be ruined. I can't let anyone know." His face froze, like I'd slapped him. His gaze softened, but there was a hurt in his eyes that made my chest tighten. "You're scared of what people will think?" His voice was quiet, like he was trying to understand. "I don't care about that, Leo. You don't have to be scared of me." I swallowed, my hands shaking. "You don't get it. If anyone finds out I work as a maid for you, your family, everything I've worked for will be destroyed. I'll have nothing. I can't risk it." Ace took a step closer, his eyes locking onto mine. "You don't have to do this alone. You think I care about some stupid secret job? I care about you, Leo." My heart stuttered in my chest. The words hung in the air, heavy and raw. I had dreamed of this moment more times than I could count. Imagine what it would be like if Ace ever looked at me like this, if he ever saw me as more than just another face in the crowd. But that was just a fantasy, something I'd always told myself was impossible, because Ace was Ace, untouchable, golden, and completely out of my league. And yet, here he was, standing in front of me, telling me he cared. I was shaking now, the walls I'd built around myself crumbling with every beat of my heart. "Leo," Ace whispered, his hand coming up to cut my face, his touch gentle but firm. His thumb brushed across my cheek, and I closed my eyes, letting his warmth sink into me. "I need you to talk to me. I can't stand being shut out. I'm not going anywhere. You're not alone in this. I won't let you carry this weight by yourself." I opened my eyes, his face so close, and I could see the vulnerability there, the rawness I'd been missing. I love you, Leo," he said softly, his voice trembling with the weight of it. "I've been trying to keep it in, but I can't anymore." The words hit me like a tidal wave. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My crush, the person I had loved from afar for so long, was standing here, telling me he loved me. Me, the boy who had spent years thinking he'd never be enough, who had convinced himself Ace could never look at him the way he looked at Ace. But he did. And that changed everything. A shaky breath left me. my heart pounding so hard it hurt. "I love you too," I whispered back, barely above a breath, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. But I meant them. I had always meant them. Ace's expression softened, his eyes shining as he leaned in, his lips brushing against mine, tentative at first, but then more sure, like we were both finally giving in to something we'd been denying for too long. And in that moment, the rest of the world disappeared. There was no job, no secret, just us, standing in the middle of everything that had been building between us. No more hiding. The next day, I knew something was off the moment I saw Jenna, Nick's girlfriend, hovering near my locker, her phone screen flashing with a smile that made my stomach turn. She had that look, the one she got whenever she was about to unleash some new bit of gossip. "Leo," she called, tapping my shoulder lightly. "We need to talk." I could feel my heart racing, but I forced a smile. "What's up, Jenna?" She took a step closer, lowering her voice to a whisper, though she wasn't fooling anyone. "I have something you might want to see." She held up her phone, and my stomach sank when I saw the picture. There I was, me in Ace's kitchen, wearing the damn Maid uniform, holding a mop like I was some low-budget movie star. And the worst part? It was clearly taken when I wasn't paying attention. I froze, my hands trembling. "Jenna, you can't..." She raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a smirk. "I won't say anything. Not unless you want me to. You know, the world would love to know the real reason you're so close to Ace Kensington." Panic shot through me. I knew she hated me for the time I accidentally shoved her, embarrassing her in front of everyone. But this was going too far. I opened my mouth, but the words felt stuck in my throat. "Please, don't." She waved it off, feigning innocence. "You'll figure it out. You have a choice. Either quit that job or, well..." She let the silence hang in the air, the unspoken threat clear. I turned and walked away without another word, my mind spinning. The last thing I needed was for everyone to know I was working for Ace, especially with the way things were between us now. But quitting? Walking away from the only thing keeping my family afloat? That wasn't an option either. The next day. The day after Jenna's threat, I was a mess. I could barely concentrate in class, let alone focus on anything else. I kept glancing at Ace, but it felt different now. There was a weight between us, something unsaid. The tension was suffocating. Finally, after the last bell rang, Ace caught up with me in the hallway, his face set with determination. "We need to talk, now." He dragged me to an empty stairwell, and I could see the concern in his eyes, but there was something else there too. Worry? Fear? I didn't know, but it made my chest tighten. "Leo," he started, his voice low. "What the hell's going on? I heard about Jenna. She's threatening to expose you. Why didn't you tell me?" I bit my lip, refusing to meet his eyes. "I didn't want you to get dragged into this. It's my mess to deal with." "Bullshit," he snapped, stepping closer. "I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't know what's happening. We've been lying to everyone. I'm not going to let her control us. Not like this." I opened my mouth, but the words caught in my throat. "If she leaks it, my life's over. Your family will fire me. You'll hate me for it." Ace grabbed my shoulders, his hands firm, his eyes burning with a mix of frustration and something else. Something I couldn't name. "You think I care about any of that?" His voice was quieter now, but it was full of raw emotion. "You matter more than some stupid image. You matter to me, Leo. I don't care who knows." The sincerity in his eyes made me blink back the sudden rush of tears. "Ace, but your family, your reputation..." "I don't care," he interrupted, his voice cutting through my fears. They can't dictate who I am, and neither can anyone else. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to be with you, Leo. I love you. I was silent, my heart pounding, unsure of what to say, but before I could respond, Ace pulled me in for a kiss. A desperate, needy kiss. They made everything around us fade away. When we pulled apart, he looked at me with a fierce, confident expression. Tomorrow, I'm going to confront my family. I'm done pretending. And if the whole school finds out about us, then so be it. My eyes widened and I couldn't breathe for a moment. You do that? For me? Ace smirked, running a hand through his hair. For us. And in that moment, I knew it. It didn't matter that I was some broke kid working as a maid. It didn't matter that Ace was a rich, perfect golden boy. Because when it came down to it, we weren't going to hide anymore. We belonged together. Conclusion. Turns out, all that stress, completely unnecessary. Ace finally talked to his parents and, get this, they didn't care. No dramatic outrage, no threats to fire me, nothing. If anything, they actually liked me. They said I was a good influence on him, which is hilarious because I'm pretty sure Ace is the one corrupting me. Sure, some of Ace's rich friends had an issue with him dating someone like me, but he was quick to cut them off. Didn't even hesitate. If they couldn't respect our relationship, they weren't worth his time. As for Nick and Jenna, both their parents work for Aces, so when they found out how much they ran their mouths at school, let's just say they have been very quiet ever since. No more gossip, no more threats, just peace. Now, Ace and I, we're just us. No secrets, no hiding, just dating, bickering, and maybe making out way too much. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. The end. Do you think love is possible between people of different classes? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.